Welcome to another episode of Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. And we are going to look at Scream of the Wolf because we are going to cover every wolf movie ever made. And there's about 2,000 of them. So
You
this
keep
one is,
picking them.
I, I like wolf movies. So um, but anyway, Scream of the Wolf was done in 1974. What were you doing in 1974?
Not existing.
Ah,
What were you doing?
I was in third grade. I was. Happy kid who didn't forget things like sending the link to my daughter. I didn't even have a daughter then. So, uh, Scream of the Wolf is based on a book by titled The Hunter by David F. Chase. And if you ask me, they should have just named this The Hunter also instead of Scream of the Wolf. But they did name it Scream of the Wolf. It is a screenplay by Richard Matheson, and we've went over him with such movies as Duel and The Night Stalker. So he's done some really good movies. Right, little charged here. And it was directed by Dan Curtis, who has done some great stuff like directed The Night Stalker and Trilogy of Terror. Wow. Um, and it's a small cast. Our star, John Weatherby, is played by Peter Graves. And he is best known for the TV shows Fury. When I was a little kid, woke up every day before school and I watched Fury. Did you ever watch Fury?
No, I don't know what that one is actually.
Fury was a horse, and Peter Graves was the father, and he had two
Mhm.
sons. I don't know. They never explained where if his wife divorced him, died, he killed her, or what. But anyway,
The
um,
horse trampled her.
yeah. Then they had this old guy who was a cook named Pete, and they had to always battle like cattle wrestlers and stuff like that. And what I remember is Peter Graves' character, whose name was Jim. He would, when he'd fight someone, Pete liked to, and I'm not kidding you, he would get on top of someone who would be on their belly, and he would just take their head and just keep slamming it into the ground. It's like so stupid. But anyway, he was also in Mission Impossible. I'm sure you've heard of that one.
Yes.
He was in such movies as Airplane, and he narrated a movie that was a part of my childhood. It was a Sun Classic movie called The Mysterious Monsters, and it was a documentary about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and the Yeti. And he actually narrated that when I was little. So I thought, oh, there's a guy from Fury. But anyway, he is the brother of James Arnaz, and James
Really?
Arnaz, yeah, known
Hmm.
for
I
Gunsmoke,
forget. Oh
Gunsmoke.
yeah, that one.
But they were estranged, and that's why one took one name and the other took the other name. I don't remember which one's actually the family name, but they did not get along. He
Oh,
died
that's
in,
too bad.
yeah, hey, I don't get along with my brother either. Um, that's why you've
You
never
don't
met
have a
him before.
brother.
That's what I've told you. So, um, he died in 2010 at the age of 83. And
Um, he also hosted Biography.
oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not doing that anymore.
No.
No. He should have hosted his own biography. And then Peter Graves did this.
And he was so much cooler than his lame brother, James Arnett.
He should have done one on his brother. Now, I'm usually very positive, but if there is one low down snake in the grass son of a buck, it's my brother James Arness, who can't act as well of a paper bag. But anyway,
Let me tell you about
uh,
all the failures of his childhood.
that's right. Did he get asked to narrate the mysterious monsters? No, no, not at all.
You got him
Uh,
there?
Byron Douglas is played by Clint Walker from Hartford, Illinois. We've already went over him with that classic movie Snow Beast, and so I'm not going to go over him anymore. And Sandy Miller is played by Joanne Flug. She is most known in the 80s for being on The Fall Guy. She was on various TV shows with guest stars. She was in the movie MASH. Cat Lowe, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and she is still with us at the age of 86.
And she was in the very last episode of Alias Smith and Jones.
Really? So it's her fault.
Yes.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
all right. By the way, how do you pronounce her last name? It is Pflug.
I have no idea.
I think it's Pflug. So,
Plug, I guess. Like, well, no, because that's spelled with a PH, like normal. I don't know. Plug, I guess.
maybe she didn't know how to spell her name. Who knows? This originally aired January 16th, 1974 on the American Broadcasting Company, ABC. And it went against Canon on CBS and something called Chase on NBC. So the movie starts. There's a car driving on a foggy road at night, and the car runs out of fuel.
I
Huh? Oh,
just,
I'm
I'm scared. I can't wait to see what's
reliving
gonna
the
happen.
scary moment for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the gentleman gets out of his car and he walks up a long drive to someone's house, like a country driveway. You know how they can get really long. And he sees something. Then he hears some snarling and growling, and some creature is chasing him back to his car. And I'm having paper issues again, too. Um, the creature, he jumps into his car, and the creature is tearing away at the nylon roof from the convertible, and then he smashes in the windshield, and we hear screaming, and we know that this man is not going to be in the rest of the movie.
Darn it.
And you know that no one bothered to tell his wife? She is in a nursing home somewhere saying, I wonder where my husband went. Uh, so we cut to daylight, and the police are driving towards the scene. There's a ton of cops and medical personnel that are at the scene, and they find the guy's wallet that says that he is from L.A. Lower Arnold, I guess.
That's what that
Um,
means.
and the sheriff is conducting an investigation, and they take the body away. And then we cut to a scene of a nice house in the cliffs of Malibu, and the sheriff arrives at the house of John Weatherby, Peter Graves. They are friends, and John is a writer and a former hunter who is working on a book about his hunting excursions. And the sheriff tells him about the murder and says something attacked the car. We don't know what it was, mangled the body. We have found some tracks, and you might want to come and take a look at it.
Hold on a second. So the sheriff thinks this is an animal attack, but they keep calling it a murder. Animals don't murder you, they just kill you. What are you going to
Right?
arrest the animal?
Put it on trial.
Were you out there that night? Roar! I just, why are you calling it a murder?
Would you tell us the truth for a Scooby snack? I hadn't thought about that. So anyway, the sheriff takes John back to the murder scene, and they're looking at the tracks. And John says that the killing sounds like a leopard, but these tracks are enormous and they look like wolf tracks. And he says, we need to get Byron on this. And the sheriff says that I've contacted Byron, but he is busy. The dogs are having trouble tracking because it is as if the animal changed its scent. And that doesn't make sense because animals don't have the ability to change their scent like people do. I don't smell good. I throw on some deodorant. No one knows it's me anymore. It's great. It's great. Little cologne. I'm fine. So, anyway, then we cut to John at a coffee shop, and there's a clerk in there. And John's like, hey, I like her. Her name is Sandy. And he proposes that they have dinner on Friday night. And she is angry because she hasn't heard from him for 3 weeks. She is busy Friday grinding coffee beans. How about that? I'd rather grind my coffee beans than be with you. And then he says, oh, I've been busy. And of course, she caves because she's a woman in 1974, and that's what they have to do. So she agrees to dinner on Friday night, even though he's been a real jerk. So then we cut to a dark road, and there's a guy walking down the road, and you can tell he's being stalked because we're from the creature's point of view. And he realizes he's being stalked, and he tries to run, but no luck. He gets mauled and
Yeah,
killed.
this town gets incredibly foggy at night.
Yeah, yeah. He gets murdered by an animal. So animal pulled out and going, "Whoop!" Yeah,
This animal had it out for him
yeah.
personally for the life insurance.
So the cops arrive again to this scene along with John, and the sheriff shows John the man, and his face was eaten off. And we don't see that because it's a TV movie. And they realize that the tracks have changed from running on four legs to walking on two legs, and then the tracks just disappear. It's as if it went four legs, two legs, and flew away. How pretty. And he does, the sheriff says, "Are you trying to say that this animal flew away?" John said, "No, of course not. I don't know." So then we cut to the sheriff and John going back to John's house. And John says that he's going to take a drive to Byron's house. John is certain he doesn't know what kind of animal it was. The four-legged track was from an animal that was about 100 pounds, but the two-legged track was from someone weighing more than he does. He doesn't say how much he
Yeah,
weighs.
which um body shaming. The animal is size beautiful. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I don't like John now. He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, what a jerk.
No wonder
James
he still
Arnaz would
wants.
never have said something like
Oh,
that.
James Arness would have pet that puppy doggy. Yeah. Um, John arrives at Byron's place, and Byron is chopping wood. And I gotta say, Clint Walker is not a good actor. I admit it. Okay, even though he's a hometown guy for me, he's just not that good of an actor. But in this role, he's actually pretty good because he plays creepy really good. So Byron is really creepy, and he's
He is
chopping wood.
also John's ex-boyfriend.
I didn't know they were lovers.
Obviously they were.
Oh, okay. But then John said, "I need a lover that won't drive me crazy. I need a lover that won't drive me crazy." Someone knows the meaning of a "hey, hit the highway." Um, John Byron greets John with a long, awkward handshake, and Byron says the sheriff recruited you to join the hunt. John says, "How did you know?" He said, "I saw in the paper," and then we're amazed that Byron can actually read. Now, Byron is a big game hunter who is preparing for a hunt in South America at this time. And then he's got a guy who I guess works for him in the house. His name is Grant. Grant comes down the stairs as Byron fetches a drink. And Byron asks about this animal and its tracks. John says, couldn't identify the tracks. It changes its scent and it changes from four legs to two legs and disappears. He says, "Can you help me find it?" He says, "I can't. I'm busy preparing for my trip." And John says, it got its second victim last night. Both killings were within a mile of each other. That means that there is a cave nearby," or Byron says, "that means that there's a cave nearby where it's living." But Byron says, "Nope, not going to help." And then he tells John that once the animal starts killing humans, it won't stop. Get it before it kills again. So then we cut to nighttime at a mobile home, and there is a man and woman making out, getting ready to have sweet love down by the fire, as trailer dwellers do. And
And when you have sex, you deserve to die. Those are the rules.
yes, in puritanical America, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So, so they hear a noise, and the man yells, so they're looking around. The man yells, "I got a gun!" And
Yeah, this guy looks like a wannabe Bruce Campbell, just to put a picture in everybody's head.
maybe he is a wannabe Bruce Campbell.
Maybe he
Although Bruce
was. Who
Campbell's probably
knows?
in grade school at this time.
You know what? That's fair.
The creature, and of course you never see the creature, but it breaks in through the glass doors and mauls them to death. Then we cut to a restaurant. John and Sandy are on their date. They're having dinner, and John tells Sandy, "In 20 years of hunting, I am stumped." And I don't know why Byron won't help. And then Byron walks into the restaurant. How weird. And he greets them and he just joins at the table. I'm thinking, Byron, you just have no social skills here. They're on a date.
John invited him to sit down.
You decline that.
I'm just saying, you can't blame it all on Byron.
Okay.
And Sandy is very jealous.
Yes. Because they're lovers now that we've established that.
Yes.
So Byron asked if he was right about the animal killing again. John says, yes, you were. And, like Tabitha said, Sandy is just not happy about him joining their date. I mean, kind of weird, your boyfriend, your girlfriend there at the same time. I don't know. So Byron says that this creature is fascinating. And Sandy says, you find it fascinating that four human beings were slaughtered? And Byron says, some are saying it is a werewolf. And I thought, or a werewolf? Or
Warwolf?
a werewolf? So we've made this reference so many times. People, if you haven't seen the Mystery Science Theater of Werewolf, you have to watch it. It is hilarious. And Byron says John never could believe the predator is superior to its victim. So, that's what the predator, the advantage is he's superior to the victim. So Sandy is offended at that remark, and Byron makes a comment on Sandy's dress. Oh, that's a nice dress. And John says, hey,
Which I
Jake,
didn't even realize that was a dress. Looked like
yeah,
she was
well,
wearing a power suit.
it was the 70s. So John awkwardly says he and Byron never were too much alike. They talk about how Byron likes the danger, but John shies away from danger. And and Byron is making a case that the animals that he shoots are never more alive until right when I shoot them. When your life's in danger, that's when you're most alive. And he says, I am never more alive than when I kill them. And I'm like, yes, you sound like a psychotic serial killer. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is not a spoiler because I wrote this down the first time I was watching it. They're not even trying to hide the fact that Byron is the killer slash werewolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even trying to hide it.
So some guy interrupts the conversation to scold Byron on senselessly killing animals. I mean, just a rando walks up over here in the conversation. And Byron says he can show him how his hunting mind works. I could show you what the pleasure I get from killing is. And then the dude looks terrified. Well, yeah, he basically threatened him. Byron gets in his face and John gets between them, and the guy scurries off. I mean, let's face it, he was a liberal, hippie, pinko dude, commie. Yeah, he just, you know, weirdo. So we cut to John and Sandy driving home, and Sandy says that Byron is odd. John takes up for him like you do your ex-boyfriend, and says that Byron once waited on the ground for a killer wolf in Canada. Um, thought it would be more fair if he was on the ground and Byron finished it off with a hunting knife. And so, yeah, Byron is a pretty much a badass. So then we're at Sandy. Sandy is taking a shower and she's getting ready for bed. And something is stalking around her house while she is getting ready for bed. And she hears a door creak. She goes to investigate.
Which,
And
hold on, she's in the bathroom. She has like floor to ceiling windows in her bathroom with the blinds open.
she's an
Why would you have
exhibitionist.
such a thing?
Why are you shaming exhibitionists?
Sorry.
She used to be on game shows like Match Game, and they would say, "And our next our next celebrity is Joanne Flug," and she just take her clothes off. Hey, that was her thing, man. Um, so she's investigating, then she decides, oh, this is a great time to make a cup of tea. I'm thinking, if I'm investigating the house and there's a prowler around, I am not making a cup of tea. So, but that's what she does. She looks outside and she thinks she sees something in the trees. She calls John and says she thinks she has a prowler outside. John says, no problem. I'm coming right over. Then she hears a loud noise and the creature breaks in. Sandy flees to another part of the house. She locks herself in the bedroom. Um, and it is trying to get in her bedroom. It's like scratching at her door, and I'm thinking, okay, you've broken through the outside door, which is much heavier, and then you get to her bedroom door, and you just kind of, hi, hi. So cannot break into the bedroom door, or can it? And it chooses not to. Ooh. So John apparently, after he gets off the phone with her, calls the police, and the police show up. John shows up too, and inside the cops tell John, "Hey, she's in the bedroom." And John says, "You can leave now. I can take it from here."
Well, the cop doesn't say anything reassuring like she's not hurt, she's okay. He makes it sound like she's dead.
Yeah,
She's in the bedroom. Like, but she's not, she's fine.
she's in
But
the
that cop
bedroom
sucks. Like
making love to a wolf man. I don't know. So anyway, the sheriff tells John that they have scared it away. So all these cops went in the house and went boo, 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 and I went, "Oh, I gotta get out of here." So
they came in with the rolled up newspapers.
yeah,
He was
popped it
like,
on the nose. Um, so sheriff tells John that she never saw it, and they inspected the damage of the house. And outside, they're investigating the tracks and at a cliff down on the seashore. So, well, very mysterious tracks here. So John tells Sandy that she's going to stay at his place. And she says, "Oh no, I can't stay at your place. That would look bad in today's society." So, anyway, so I
which
think,
it's the 70s, not the 50s. Come on.
well, I think what you do is if you have one bed, you both have to lay in the bed and one leg has to be touching the floor. I think that that was the rule back then. So the sheriff tells John there's a sundown curfew that he is implementing, and John, I even expect you to abide by it. So you, John. So anyway, John is walking. Next scene, John is walking in the woods and ignoring the curfew, by the way. And he is armed. He's trying to find whatever this creature is. It's foggy and it's dark. And John runs into the sheriff who says, "I guess you forgot about the curfew." And John said, "Ah, you caught me breaking the law. Locked me up,
He says
dude."
it so threateningly too. Like,
Yeah.
guess you
So
forgot about the curfew. You know what we do to people who forget about the curfew?
we handcuff them. Ah, I like that. That's what Byron used to do to me. So then we cut to the next morning. John arrives at Sandy's restaurant, and while walking in there, you see a newspaper dispenser, and the headline is "Werewolf Killer Still at Large." So Sandy is worried about him, and she said, "I didn't," or he said to her, "I didn't expect you to call the sheriff." And she said, "I was worried. What could I do?" And John says that he is going to go home and get some sleep. And Sandy says she thinks it is Byron. And John said, "I know. And all the people watching this movie out there, you believe it's Byron too, don't you? Don't you?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Yeah,
Sandy called
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah." So um, Sandy says, "You told me that he was bitten in Canada." And John said, "Yeah, but that was just me. It was foreplay." Anyway, hey, you took it this direction. So
And I'm right. You're gonna tell me I'm wrong after watching this whole thing?
um, so the sheriff arrives in the restaurant and John leaves with the sheriff. John tells him that Sandy is convinced it is Byron. And the sheriff decides he and John will go question Byron at 2 p.m. So it's 2 p.m. We're at Byron's house. Byron says the news is interesting, but it's not his concern. Then the sheriff is pissed and he tells Brian to his face. Brian still declines to help. So the sheriff just leaves. And I mean, he is really much being a jerk. You know, people are getting killed and he's a big game hunter and he refuses to help.
Yeah.
John asks, "Doesn't this bother you?" And Byron says, "No, I am enjoying seeing people alive and alert with fear." Yeah, I kind of get that. No, I don't. Um, Byron tells him a good hunter is never sure of anything except his prey will do the unexpected. John and the sheriff talk outside. Um, the sheriff asks John, "Who is this guy that works for him?" He says, "Grant. Grant is odd." But so was his master, and I thought that was an interesting term. His master, what is
His
Grant a slave?
master,
I
yeah.
don't know. So, and then John goes to explain that they met at a bar, and Byron challenged him to an arm wrestling match, and it took him 10 minutes to put Grant down, and Byron was so impressed that he hired him. I mean,
As
that's
you do.
yeah, yeah. So then
That's
we
how I
cut,
got every job I ever had. Arm wrestling.
yeah, and you don't even have to win; you just have to hold it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So then we cut tonight. Again, the sheriff is out keeping an eye on Byron's place. A deputy comes to relieve him, and the deputy sees movement in the window, so he sneaks inside the house. I'm thinking, hello, search warrant. You can't just, as a deputy, break inside someone's house, but he did. And he goes and looking in the basement, he hears a noise and opens the door where he heard the noise coming from, and he is mauled by the creature. Outside, we see John looking around with a gun. He hears a noise on the path, and he shines his light into the thicket, and he sees the body of the deputy. So somebody drugged the deputy's body out of the house and into the woods, and John found him.
Yeah, and I was going to compliment this movie's atmosphere, but then they start playing this funky action music while Peter Graves is running through the woods, and I was like, never mind.
So we cut to the next day. The police cars are driving with sirens blaring. They arrive at the courthouse for a press conference. And I'm thinking, why are you speeding with sirens blaring to go to a press conference at the courthouse?
Because this is the most exciting thing that's happened in this town in forever.
It must be. So they all arrive at the courthouse for a press conference. And some man stands up and he wants to know what is killing these people. And they say an animal, and people are not buying that. And the government is declaring a state of emergency and sending in the National Guard, who oddly never show up in this movie.
They can't afford that. No.
So anyway,
Hold on. I just noted in the scene, I'm like, hey, they've got female cops. That's great. How progressive. And then that made me think of the time my mom and I were at a drive-through and we saw this car in a parking lot and it had, one of those searchlights on it. And she's like, hey, you think that's a cop car? Because it's got that light. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And then a woman came out and got into the car. She goes, oh no, that's a woman. And then she goes, oh, maybe it's a woman cop. It was so funny. She like really had a revelation there. Like, wait, women can do that.
oh, and I think it was funny when they talk about the government's declaring a state of emergency and they're sending in the National Guard. Someone yells, "Are they going to be armed with silver bullets?" Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. So the sheriff scolds the
maybe
people for
maybe that was Kolchak.
it could have been, yes. I mean, directed by the same guy, written by the same guy. Um, the sheriff scolds the people for not taking this as serious as the police are. I'm thinking, don't chew out people who are afraid for their lives. There's a something running around, maybe a werewolf.
Maybe a werewolf.
Yeah, could be. So, as they're leaving the courthouse, a reporter asked John if he heard the howling of a wolf last night. Yes, I did. Do you think the killer is a werewolf? No, I don't. I don't believe in werewolves. And John tells the sheriff he don't think the National Guard will be any help because they're not going to get here for this whole friggin' movie. So anyway, as the sheriff is saying goodbye to John and Sandy, Byron comes up to them. And Byron says since 7 a.m., he has been answering the sheriff's questions. The sheriff says, before this is over, you'll be answering a lot more. Byron says, you know where I live. The next time, bring a warrant. I thought, yeah, we saw what your deputy did. So the sheriff excuses himself, must have passed gas or something. And Byron is excited for the people being afraid. He keeps verbalizing this because they are more alive now than ever.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a psychological term for what's wrong with with Byron.
He was raised in Hartford where there's a refinery, was breathing in all those gas fumes all
Oh,
those
okay.
years. So, um, he actually says these killings may be for the benefit of everyone. And then he leaves. And Sandy says, I know it's him. And we're all like, yeah, we all do.
We all know it's
We all
him.
do. There's no spoiler in this, by the way.
No.
There's no turn or anything. It's straight off. Here's a creepy guy who did it. That's basically what you see.
Yeah, like, do you think maybe it's this creepy evil guy? Well, you're right. It's the creepy evil guy. That's it.
And Sandy says, why won't he help? And John says, is there only one way I can satisfy you? And then I thought, my gosh, this really took a sexual turn here. That's say that to Sandy off camera or something. Hey, I realize I don't please you. Is there something else I can do? Jeez, man. So we cut to John arriving at Byron's, and Grant greets John and invites him in. Byron says twice in one day, what do I owe the pleasure? And John says it's time for you to help me find the animal. Grant comes into the room and stares John down, then looks up at Byron, and Byron motions him to leave, like, yeah, leave him alone. So Byron says he is not involved because I was hoping if you worked on the problem yourself, you would become a more competent hunter. John is stunned. He's like, what? He says people are being killed. There is a public issue. Not this is a public issue, not a hunting issue. And Byron tells John if he can hold his arm for 1 minute in an arm wrestling contest, he will help. So Byron is taunting him, and John agrees. And so they do the arm wrestling thing.
Wait,
And he's
hold on. First, Byron says to John, I care about you, not fools who get themselves killed. This is a very obsessive and intimate, in some way, relationship.
yeah, okay, I agree.
Thank you.
So uh Byron is timing this, with a stopwatch, and he's just sitting there. So when it gets, I don't know, like 5 seconds before a minute, Byron just puts him down because men from Hartford, they real men. I mean it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
um, and he tells John, forget about the animal. Even if you find it, it will only kill you. So John comes home to Sandy. Sandy says, I presume he said no. And damn well he did. He says, I'm going to have a drink and a nap. And then that afternoon, he gets his best hunting rifle. Sandy tries to talk him out of it. The, the doorbell rings. It is Byron who says he has had a change of heart. I'm going to help kill this animal. And Sandy says, don't go with him. I don't trust him. And John takes her aside and says, you wanted him to help. And now that he is offering, you want me to turn him down. What up with that, woman? She says, I'm afraid of him. And I need him, Sandy. And I'm thinking, yeah, there, Tabby's right. There's a homoerotica thing going here. And Byron
And
tells
she
her,
says,
go ahead.
you might have been getting to this, but she says, you'd go with him even if you knew he was the killer. It's very toxic, but
Yeah.
there's some kind of bond there.
So Byron tells Sandy that he will take real good care of John.
Mm-hmm.
So that night, they drive in the area where all the activity is, and of course, ignoring the curfew again. Byron asks, what would you do if it is a werewolf? I am serious. Look at the track evidence. Makes a wonderful story, Byron, but I don't buy it. That's what John thinks. They decide to separate, not emotionally, just physically to do the hunt, by the way. So John is hunting when he hears a shot and barking and growling, and he arrives at the spot and he finds Byron laying face down and he's been mauled. And I'm thinking, ooh, big twist there. Big twist there. And John keeps tracking at night down the road where all the killings are taking place. And
Yeah,
John
the
approach,
one road in this town.
yeah, yeah. John approaches Byron's house and goes inside and he calls for Grant. And um he says, I know I found Byron's body. And he hears, did you, John? And it's Byron. And then Giant says, oh my gosh, you planted Grant's body in your clothes. And he had John back up against the wall and put his gun down back up against the wall. He's got him, at gunpoint. And Grant threatened to tell the police about Byron, so I had to have him killed. And he has John go into the basement.
But
And
first he says when he reveals himself, he goes, "It did provide for a stunning moment, didn't it?" And I'm like, "No, not really. You've been very obviously evil. It's just that John is stupid."
so he explains to John that he made the tracks himself. I set all the tracks up to make it look like it was a werewolf. So in the basement, Byron has a wolf in a chain, um, chained up, and tells him, I taught him how to kill another kind of prey. John says, why? He says, to give people a reason for existence. When people are afraid, they are most alive. And I'm thinking, would you get off of that? Nobody's buying that. Nobody is more alive before they die. Before they die, they're almost dead. That's what they are. So, um, but he also says, I wanted to get my honey friend back too. So John grabs a shotgun.
And
That's
he said, "I just wanted to arouse you. Please do not leave that line out."
and John said, well, you did. So boing.
This is what the internet calls toxic yaoi. Look it up.
I don't think I will. I turned 60 in 4 weeks. I'm not, I don't need to know what toxic yaoi is anymore. Um, so where am I at? So John grabs a shotgun and Byron says there are no shells in it, but there are two shells outside. If you can find them, there's one shell for me and one shell for the dog or the wolf. And
I do feel bad for the wolf. Like,
yeah.
it's not his fault. He's in the hands of this weirdo.
So he says, I'm going to give you a 5 minute head start. So give you a little time to maybe find the shells, and then we're coming after you. And John says, I'm not going to play this game. Byron makes him pick up the rifle or he will sick the wolf on him. And then he tells him, you got 5 minutes. So John runs outside and miraculously finds the shells. That was pretty fast, too. And so the wolf starts charging him, and he takes the first shot and misses, but the second shot gets the wolf. Then a Byron emerges from the fog, and he says to John, "It's hand-to-hand combat now." Ha ha. And so John tosses the shotgun aside, and he's trying to sneak away in the woods, but Byron somehow climbed a tree without anybody noticing, and he jumps off of the tree, out of the tree, right on top of John, and they scuffle. Byron is really about to kick his ass when John says, "Ha ha, pistol, ha ha, psych," and Byron says, "Why didn't you use this before?" And John says, "I doubt that even you would have stopped me if you saw I had a pistol in my hand." So Byron walks away with his back to him and says, you wouldn't shoot a man in the back. Apparently he will. And he shoots him. And then Byron turns around and starts coming at him because he's been shot in the back. And then he shoots him in the front just for good measure. And that's the end of our story.
Tragic.
Tabitha, do you think this was the first time I saw this? Did I see a rerun of this? Or did I watch this as a wee child at the third grade?
This is the first time you saw it.
This was the first time I saw it. I actually ran into it on accident a couple weeks ago. We were watching one of our other movies. It was like, perhaps you would like. And I thought, I do like Peter Graves. Clint Walker's in it too. And we do like a monthly wolf movie, it seems like. So
Right?
might as well do it. So anyway, do you give this a classic or a trash it?
Trash it. It's a bad
It is,
movie.
it's a bad movie. It really is a bad movie. The only redeeming thing is Peter Graves is really good at just about everything, but he's just Peter Graves. He's like Kevin Costner. I don't care what you put him in. I still just see Kevin Costner. Peter Graves, I just see the same Peter Graves. Even in Airplane, he's kind of the same dude. more perverted. In Airplane, he really does explore his weird sexual tendencies.
Do you
But
like movies about gladiators?
yeah, you ever seen a grown man naked? Yeah, that
You ever been
hasn't aged well.
in a Turkish prison?
Oh, so anyway, it's got to be a trash it.
I was surprised there was no werewolf. I'll admit that. I thought Byron would be a werewolf, but now he's just a guy.
The only twist that I could possibly see, and I held on to this till about the last third of the movie, is perhaps it is Grant who's the werewolf.
Mm.
But yeah, then I was like, no, it's Byron. But one of the,
It does. Oh, go ahead.
as I say, one of the things I did like, Clint Walker actually was a very creepy dude in this. He played that good. And I'm the first to admit he's not a great actor. You watch his stuff and he's pretty much a bad actor. And in this, he played creepiness really good.
I was gonna say, knowing it's him the whole time, it makes it even funnier how the whole movie he's like, "Isn't this animal, whatever it is, fascinating? Isn't it the coolest, most badass, sexiest creature of all time? Don't you think so, John?"
John, I bet this animal has a huge schlong. So, oh, so anyway, if you want to watch this movie, it is on Tubi. Um, or if you don't want to watch it, which is what I suggest, Jaws is on Peacock. Okay. So Tabitha, and by the way, I'm sorry we were only supposed to be off a week, but last week things got so busy, I lost track of days, and I think like Friday or Saturday, Tabitha said, are we still doing this? I forgot. So anyway, that's why we took 2 weeks off. So what are we doing next week?
Well, because it's been so hot here and all over the planet, we are gonna watch a movie called Heat Wave, starring Bonnie Bedelia and Ben Murphy.
Ah, now does that have anything to do with the song by Martha and the Vandells, Heat Wave,
No, no, sadly, no.
that was remade by um, Linda Ronstadt? Linda Ronstadt's version's really good.
We did that in choir one year for one of our spring concerts.
Really? Yep. I like that song. Anyway, so we will see you next week for Heat Wave. And I hope everybody has a great week. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay safe. Bye bye. At this point, we had a technical issue with Zoom. So the last portion of the show lost the audio. So we finished with Dad giving Hitchhike a classic and Tabitha giving it a trash it. Our next movie will be Panic at Lakewood Manor. We will see you next week. Sorry about the inconvenience.